When a code for Fuga Melodies of Steel landed in my inbox, since it was by .hack developer CyberConnect 2, I figured it might be worth a look and was pleasantly surprised in my initial impressions of how its use of animal children and a deadly soul cannon made for a thoughtful story. That experience stayed with me, since as soon as I had a free chance to get into the full game, I took it, and I'm pleased to say that thanks to its interesting battle mechanics and decisions that suddenly lead to whether your characters live or died continued to leave an impact on me, with its multiple endings, many events to unlock, and New Game Plus feature making it tempting to witness this interesting narrative all over again. It's a unique JRPG that has flown under the radar for many, but if you're looking for a shorter JRPG that can pack an emotional punch, Fuga Melodies of Steel is a unique and moving experience, and if you're a fan of JRPGs with moving stories and life or death consequences, this emotional tank-based JRPG is worth a look for a unique story experience. As I mentioned in my first impressions, Fuga Melodies of Steel follows a group of animal children who have been driven out of their small peaceful town due to the hardships of war. A mysterious radio guides them to a cave where they're introduced to the Tyrannus, and in this unique tank, they set off to find their families who have been taken by the army, hopefully without having to use the deadly soul cannon the tank is equipped with that can win any battle at the cost of a life. This very unique premise and the heartbreaking glimpse into the result of using said cannon had me intrigued from the start in its first chapter, so when I picked it up to continue, I was hopeful the story would continue to move me in the same way, and ended up being pleased with it overall. Chapter by chapter, the kids find themselves progressing across the land of Gas Cove, stopping at different villages and points of interest along the way, which can involve simple chats with villagers that add to the story, or sometimes even finding extra party members. The latter is what I enjoyed most when it happened, with more party members not only making battles easier, as you can switch them in and out as characters get story-appropriate status elements such as fear and depression, but also they add to the amount of things you can do within the Tyrannus, with the 20 AP you're given in its many chapter intermissions being a great time to bond and get to know the children in the story. How you use your time is incredibly important in Fuga, as not buffing up your tank enough in the intermission can mean having to use the deadly soul cannon at some point, and the little bond events in between emphasize just how much these kids really are kids, with the 4-year-old May not really understanding what's going on, or the cute hack and chick both getting up to mischief along the way, adding to the story's premise of children going through more than they should, along with the added chance mechanics in between being a good reminder of how things don't always work out in these situations. The best part though is that even though it's a shorter game with my time in it amounting to about 23 hours, is that it managed to make me feel this in what could be considered shorter, more manageable chunks of time that surely make it enjoyable for those playing on Switch, or those like myself who like to play on home consoles but have varying amounts of time to play. And the little moments of meaningful story Fuga gave me, and its interesting tank-based battles gave me a lot of reasons to keep jumping in whenever I had time to try and make things better in this war-affected world full of kids that felt well worth saving. Whether it's choosing who to keep alive or choosing who to talk to in the tank, one of the things that makes Fuga really engaging are the amount of choices it has you making. There are naturally the usual kinds of choices to make in battle, like what kind of gun or skill to use, with things like certain guns able to cause delays to keep in mind. But the trail the kids follow on their journey has plenty of choices too, thanks to its routes that have you choosing between taking the easy path to keep everyone safe, or the difficult one to gain loot and try to get through battles a little easier. This type of choice comes up frequently in Fuga, usually multiple times a chapter, it prompting you to choose between a safe, normal, or dangerous path that will influence the enemies you face and the rewards you get, that lays down the idea of getting good equipment to upgrade your tank that is always helpful, or potentially having to start the path again if you get taken down by one of its purple elite battles that makes choosing the right route integral to having a smooth but fruitful journey. When I chose the dangerous routes, I always found them incredibly satisfying in terms of challenge, and honestly loved the few close calls I had along the way where some of my party members unfortunately became injured, as it was always in battles that had truly tested how much I'd progressed in the story so far. It was also equally as nice to take the safe route when I needed to and not worry about injuring too many kids along the way, as injury greatly affects their accuracy, so the balance of being able to essentially make things easier or harder along the way was really nice, and something that both felt strategic and like a thing that improved the smoothness of my journey. I was also happy how Fuga was was good at explaining that you should always keep your tank's condition in mind when you make this decision, and it proved to be sound advice, as aside from a boss battle blunder or two towards the end, I didn't have any game overs that came from my path choice, and it was nice to be able to feel like I had the option to get through quickly and safely if I was worried about the adorable party members, or take on a challenge that would eventually lead to keeping them safe in the next boss battle that made what could be considered static exploration of a world much more interesting. Choices naturally extend to its soul canon option that I made the decision not to use from the start, as who could hurt this adorable group, but players should be prepared to be mindful of other choices in the game that you have to make too that I won't spoil, that can affect your ending if you're not careful, and may have you screaming at your TV wishing you could do a thing or two differently that I definitely don't know much about. Naturally though, the fact that Fuga elicited such an emotional response towards the end of it shows me that this war story of bonding and trying to protect loved ones was very successful in the kind of story it wants to tell, and with New Game Plus to go back with to try and make things better in it someday, giving me many reasons to keep emotionally connected to its world, I'm glad it has a shorter runtime for this reason, and hope I can get to it someday soon while it still has its hooks in me, and I'm glad I put the time into this impactful story that I hope I can come back to and try create an ending I can be truly happy with someday. If you like the idea of a JRPG with lots of choices, satisfying turn-based combat, and adorable animal friends to keep from a cruel fate, Fuga Melodies of Steel is a great, smaller, but satisfying JRPG. Its story keeps things moving in its world at a good pace, partnered with beautiful illustrations that give plenty of charm in a world with a grimmer premise, and with plenty of things to consider on the way, whether it's who you hang out with, who you should keep alive, to whether you should grow a cabbage on the farm or not. It does a great job at giving each mechanic meaning, as they all work towards the common goal of trying to prevent something terrible happening to this group that makes for a very thoughtful journey. It's a game that has certainly had a lot of thought put into each of its mechanics that makes me want to truly recommend it as something to play for those who enjoy a thoughtful narrative like this. And while I hope more people play it, I also hope to find more time personally for it, as its moving ending and the ways to make things better in it will keep Fuga Melodies of Steel in my mind going forward as an impactful story from this year. Thank you for watching this video. Let me know in the comments below if you've tried Fuga Melodies of Steel, and if you have, what did you think of it? You can like and share this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to my channel for more JRPG content like this, and ring that bell to get notifications on whenever I post so you don't miss a thing. You can check out more videos here, and you can find me on social media on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, all at JRPG Jungle. Links to those will be in the description below, and until next time, thank you, bye!